Good afternoon, everyone. What is going on? I literally just interrupted myself right there. What's going on, Twitch? How are you? All right, so let's go back to Darius's question here. First question, are albums still a thing? How do you feel about releasing 4 to 6 singles instead of an EP? Depends on the demographic. In the world of metal and rock, yes. Singles, they're much more of an EDM, pop, R&B, hip-hop kind of thing. They're much easier to create than a rock song, to be quite honest. There's not as much involved. Typically, it's just someone making beats and another featured artist on the track. So having fewer cooks in the kitchen allows people to churn out those songs a lot easier. Whereas in a rock band, it's typically 3 or 4 guys, all with different ideas, and then they have to go to a studio and mix and master, and that shit's expensive. You're recording real instruments as opposed to just a keyboard. So when you go through that process, it's much better to take advantage of the process. You don't want to go through all that for one fucking song. You want to go through all that for a collection of songs, at the very least an EP. Chances are very likely you're going to do some videos for it, maybe 1 or 2. Let's say you're doing a 10 to 12 song record, and you're going to do, typically these days, maybe like 3 or 4 singles, I'd say. If one of those songs blows up and you get all this attention from all these fans, when they go to your Spotify and they see that there's only 3 other songs there, that is not enough to hold someone's attention. They're going to forget about you like that. So it's better to come out of the woodwork with a nice collection of songs that are well written, well tracked, well produced, so that you can give the audience more of an opportunity to get captivated with what it is that you do. The things I do to take a whiff of air in that room. Yeah, you say that now. I just had a protein shake. Give me about 40 minutes, and I think you're going to regret saying that. Visuals are a massive, massive tool with how an audience will enjoy a song. And when you have a visual thing that's embedded in a musical experience, that is very, very powerful. That stays with someone for an entire lifetime. I will never forget watching Michael Jackson's Black and White premiere. I will never forget that. Closer by 9 Inch Nails. No one forgets that video when they hear that. Are you kidding me? Blink-182's What's My Age Again, Bjork's Army of Me, Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. These are visuals that you will never be able to get out of your head because they're powerful. They influence how someone enjoys the song, you know? And it's a very careful thing because music videos are very, very expensive. And when you're an independent artist, it's a huge risk to take. You really have to be very, very careful. It really helps when you're a new artist to get ideas, work with directors who are very, very, very experienced. Music videos are a huge opportunity. I'm not really competing against other people. Over time, I had to change how I compete because the way that I competed, some people just can't hang. So I learned the best way to compete is just to compete with your own damn self. The ideas and the maximum amount of potential that I absolutely have, that is the only level playing field. Because this motherfucker might have rich parents that buy him that $100,000 music video. I can't compete with that shit. This motherfucker may be getting, top level producers because, maybe he has an inheritance. I don't know what anyone's situation is. Everyone's situation is completely different. People have certain advantages that I don't. I have advantages over people that they don't. There's no level playing field. The only level playing field that you can compete with on a fair level is your own. So I don't really have to keep up with anyone else. I just have to keep up with my own ideas and executing them in a way that is just exactly how my vision says that they should be. Do you feel you use social media platforms as a way of connecting method with newer generations? That's been the premise since the MySpace days, which is when I started. I knew how valuable that was too. If I see the same person commenting on my Instagram or my Facebook, I'm going to go on your profile and I'm going to look at what the fuck is up. I want to see who else you listen to. I want to see what kind of guitars you play. I want to see what kind of gear you use. I want to see what kind of merch that you buy. You know what I'm saying? It's important for me because A, I'm just curious, and B, it helps my market research to build a profile of the ideal demographic for my audience, and that's very, very helpful information. And not to mention, if I see something that's very rare, like for instance, I don't know if Hay Fever is in the chat still, but I'll never forget his name because he listens to a very, very rare type of music that I've never encountered anyone else knowing about that particular music or that culture, because it's a way of connecting. Reputation is incredibly important, and I think when I look at myself as objectively as one can, because as self-aware as we are, we're not nearly as aware as we think we are, and as objective as we want to be, we can only be so objective, because, I've most certainly have had conflicts with other peers, and other musicians. So when I look at that, and there's always three sides to a story, and I try to listen to the story that I feel like they would say, and I ask myself, I'm like, is there any type of validity to that? You don't want to discount those situations just because you think that that person's an asshole. There could be some validity to it. And what better thing to learn, and what better character to have about yourself to learn from your enemies? That's some big, dick, high road level shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a really big person to do that. It's really important to admit it to yourself. And a lot of us, listen, none of us are transparent and honest with ourselves, because if we were, we wouldn't need psychology. We wouldn't need any type of like deep thinking, because we would just be honest. We do not want to be transparent with ourselves, because we to an extent, it's very painful, to know that we've disappointed or we're ashamed or have any levels of negative emotion with self-consciousness. But when you get down to it, that's the only way to really grow, is to really try to see, damn, I fucked up, man. I really fucked that up. Otherwise, what's gonna happen is you're gonna fucking carry your whatever it is that you fucked up before, and you're just gonna carry that throughout the entirety of your career, your relationships, or whatever. And what's gonna happen? No one's gonna want to deal with an egotistical person, or no one's gonna want to deal with someone who's just endlessly competitive, or too stuck in their own ways to actually listen or collaborate to some extent, even if they're a solo artist, right? So it is quite literally a matter of growth, but you have to want it. It's much like if you want to be a rock star, you have to want to eat shit. You have to want to be in a fucking van 3 months out of the year eating absolutely nothing, When it comes to wanting to be a better person, you have to want some type of awareness of yourself and what your actions are, and you have to want to listen to people. You should absolutely separate the art from the person. If you learn all the bad things about every person or every artist, you'll have to eliminate 90% of them, what you love. There's no point in doing that. That is a fantastic point. Can you imagine if every single public figure's inbox and text message threads were all made public for the entire world to see for a full 24 hours? Think about how many artists would be fucking canceled in a second. Imagine all the horrible things that you and your best friend have conversations about. Like really offensive shit. We all do it. Shit that we can't just post publicly because we'd be judged very hard without any type of context. I would say that even as a musician, more oftentimes than not, the level of mystique is gone. We don't have many tools or many Maynards. Most artists that you guys listen to are on social media. They're saying things. They're in front of a camera. They're talking. They're writing captions. You get to see snippets of their actual personality. And that personality, whether they know it or not, really influences how people enjoy their music. I think every individual person has their own spectrum, has their own level of what they find tolerant and what they don't find tolerant. I feel a lot of the times, a lot of people have group mentality, and when they have group mentality, they hear one person, yeah, what that guy said, just based off of a couple different things that are similar in their human algorithms. Because you have to understand something. No one really has the time to really go and investigate, even in their own minds, like what their own truth is. So they have people think for them. And that's the flocking nature of what cancel culture is. And it's very, very destructive.